Hello friends, I'm Kristie Marcotte. It's Christmas in July and I'm so excited to be on Scrapbook.com's channel today sharing a fun Christmas card. Here's a look at the main products I'll be using. Scrapbook.com's Christmas ornament shape dies. This is a really cute set. Several different ornaments. There's a deer, a tree, a swan, a bow, and some stars. I'll also be using their bear die set, another really cute set. Look at this adorable bear. You can add a Santa hat and a scarf. And this set is great to use any time of year. Just leave off the Santa hat and the scarf. Another die set I'm using is the new variety edges. I'm just using that die on the very right side, the little hillside. For a sentiment and a few images, I pulled out the Christmas Animals Set 1 rub-on transfers. There's also a Christmas Animals Set 2 with similar images and more sentiments. For pattern paper, I'll be using the Nutcracker collection. I have the 6x8 size paper, and I'll also be using a little bit of the holographic mirror paper and Neutrals smooth cardstock. I selected two pattern papers from the Nutcracker collection. The dark green piece is A2 size, 4¼ inches by 5½ inches. And this fun light green with a star piece is 4 inches by 5½ inches. I put adhesive on the back and I used Scrapbook.com's deluxe adhesive roller and centered the green star piece so you won't see any of that green border at the top or bottom, just on the right and left side. At the very bottom of the card, I cut a snowy hill. The white cardstock is Spellbinder's white brush cardstock, so it has this beautiful pearlescent finish. And I got that hillside using the one die in the variety edges set. And this piece is 4¼ inches by about 2 inches at that highest point of the hill. After adding my card front onto a card base, now it's time to assemble the bear. And I'll zoom in a little bit closer so you can get a better look. I've already die cut all of the pieces for the ornament, trees, and bear, and I have them in the small stack and sort tray. I know I mentioned I would assemble the bear, but I'm actually starting with the ornament. I'll assemble the die cuts on my cut down version of Scrapbook.com's white project grip mat. That way if I make a mess with the glue, I only get it on the silicone mat versus my workspace mat. I'm using Artis glue, and I have the ultra fine metal tip on my bottle. Perfect when adhering teeny tiny die cuts. The red and soft pink colors are pattern paper from the Nutcracker collection. It's just one of the solids. On the back side, there is a pattern paper design. For the other three elements of the ornament, I cut these out from some of the Gold Star holographic mirror paper, so it's super sparkly. I think Christmas cards always need to have a little bit of sparkle and shine, and the holographic paper adds that perfect touch of sparkle. For the very top of the ornament, this is where you would add a hook. I'm putting just a tiny bit of glue at the bottom and adhering it on the front side of the ornament. You could also attach this piece on the back side of the ornament, or if you use the outline die that's included in this set, you wouldn't need to adhere it at all on the main ornament piece. But I'm not using the outline die, so I did need to find an area to attach that tiny piece. And to help hold it in place, on the back side, I put a small piece of clear double-sided adhesive tape. I am popping up the ornament using foam dimension. I have the small foam squares in the 1mm thickness. Now I'll start working on the bear, and this bear will be holding the ornament at least with one of his paws. The bear die was not designed to hold any objects, so I will need to do a little bit of cutting. I need to separate the one paw, so I'm doing the right paw, technically the bear's left paw. I'm very carefully cutting the side of the body to separate the arm. That way I can wrap the arm around the ornament. And I didn't cut up high enough the first time, so I trimmed just a tiny bit more. And after cutting out the arm area, I did trim just a tiny bit to curve the paw. On the back side of the die cut, I use a bone folder to smooth out what will now be the front of the bear's paw. And I was testing how it looked by holding the ornament in front of the bear and then wrapping that paw around it. So once I'm happy with it, now it's time to assemble the bear. I'll start by adding the bear's tummy. The brown cardstock colors I use for the bear are from the Neutral Smooth cardstock paper pad. I'll remove the release paper from the foam, add the ornament in front of the bear, and I'm putting it at a slight angle. Now I'll wrap that paw around the front, put a tiny bit of Artiste glue behind the paw, so now the bear is holding this giant ornament. Once the glue dries, that paw will stay in place. For a little extra help while I'm waiting for the glue to dry, I will place an acrylic block on top. And I did let that sit for several minutes. So now I'll work on the bottom of the bear's feet, and I use the same cardstock color that I use for the tummy. I'll start with the piece on the right, and then finally the piece on the left. The two pieces are different. The right side really only works on the right leg, and the left only works on the left leg. And you can always look at the example image that's on the back of the bear die set. It's great for reference. Next, I'll attach the muzzle of the bear. This is a slightly darker brown cardstock color than the tummy, but lighter than the main bear body. For the inside of the bear's ears and also cheeks, this is the same soft pink color that's included in the Nutcracker paper pad. Since the bear's eyes are super tiny, I wanted to make sure not to lose them. So after I cut them out, I put a piece of mint tape on the back side, and that kept the eyes and nose together. I did swap out the cheeks for the soft pink instead of the black color, since the face die cut pieces are all on one die. I'll add the nose and the mouth, and this is one piece. For the eyes, since I mentioned they're super tiny, I'll first add a teensy tiny drop of Artiste glue. Then I'll pick up the eyes using the wax tip end of the Craft Pro Pick tool. And before adhering them down, I made sure I had the correct side up. It's hard to tell when these pieces are so tiny. Before the glue dries completely, I have a little bit of time to adjust the eyes so they look nice and even. And finally, I'll add the cheeks, one on the right, one on the left. Overall, this is a very easy image to assemble. Yes, there are some of the smaller die cuts, but with a pair of tweezers and an embellishment wand like Scrapbook.com's Craft Pro Pick tool, it does make it super easy for assembling. Once I have all the die cut images assembled, it's time to create a fun snowy scene. The bear will be in a forest sitting on a snowy hill. I cut out 4 of the trees, and these are included on the Christmas ornament set. I'm keeping them as is, not decorating them as Christmas trees. And I use the same dark green solid pattern paper that I use for that background layer. I'll tuck the bottom of the trees behind the snowy hill. When I attached the snowy hill, I made sure not to put adhesive along that curved edge. I left enough space so I could tuck those trees underneath it. I'm placing the bear on top, not adhering it. That way I can space out the trees. I want to be able to see 2 trees on the right side of the bear and 2 trees on the left. The 2 trees in the middle, that inside edge, doesn't look like the tree is completely attached, but that's okay since it will be covered up by the bear. It's all a process getting everything assembled. Just don't worry about how it looks along the way. I'm only concerned about the end results. I have one final tree to adhere on the left side. So you can see those inside edges of the middle trees. Looks a little odd. They almost look like they're floating since they're angled, plus they don't have any trunks. So now it's time to add the bear image, and I will be popping him up with some foam dimension. I grabbed Scrapbook.com's large and small foam squares in the 1mm thickness. In the tiny area behind the ears, I did cut one of the small foam squares in half. Using a mix of the two different sizes, making sure to get good coverage, I'll remove the release paper from the foam and add the bear sitting happily on the snowy hill. I'm not sure if the bear is super small or maybe the ornament is giant. The trees are small, but I think those are just in the distance. Now it's time to select some of the rub-ons to use on the card. I'll be using 1 sentiment and also some of the gold snowflakes. I love this long sentiment. It's the most wonderful time of the year. You could also use a stamp or die set for the sentiment, but rub-ons make it quick and easy and they look like they're part of the paper. Now I'll select several of the gold stars and snowflakes, choosing a variety of different sizes. Many of them are nestled in between other images on the sheet, so I'm trying to be careful not to cut into any other images. I just want a few of these gold snowflakes and stars. If you haven't tried Scrapbook.com's rub-ons before, I highly recommend them. They transfer beautifully. They are nothing like the rub-ons that came out when scrapbooking was all the rage. I was big into scrapbooking in the early 2000s and I bought a bunch of rub-ons. And sometimes I would struggle trying to get those images to transfer, but not with Scrapbook.com's rub-ons. Since my background pattern paper already is covered with a bunch of tone-on-tone stars, I don't want to add too many of the gold rub-on stars. So I selected 7, 2 larger and 5 smaller. To transfer the images, I'm using the popsicle stick that's included in the rub-on package. With such small images, this takes no time at all. As I apply pressure with the popsicle stick, I hold onto that clear backer piece, slowly peel it back, making sure the image has transferred completely. If one area of the image or sentiment doesn't transfer completely, you can simply go back to that area, apply more pressure. Even if you've already removed that rub-on piece, you can line it up again on your paper and then just add more pressure. I put the largest snowflake in the upper right-hand corner. The second largest will go on the left side of the bear. I'll add 3 smaller stars and snowflakes on the left side and 2 final stars on the right side. Next, I'll add the sentiment, and I'm putting it at the bottom in the snow, just over 1/4 of an inch up from the bottom edge. This is a larger rub-on piece, but I'm still using the popsicle stick to transfer it. I made sure it was evenly spaced and nice and straight. I'll first apply pressure all over the sentiment, then on the right side, I'll start lifting up that plastic backer, and it transferred so beautifully. I didn't have any issues at all. So there is my finished card. I love how this one turned out. And since I can never stop at one, I did make 2 cards using this design. Scrapbook.com has so many fun products, perfect for your Christmas and July projects. If you're interested in the products I used in this video, I do have links in the description box below. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.